Sin, or what hasn't been said about sin, that it's inescapable by flawed beings like us, the horror of its evil nature, or how it only ever tortures the soul. And without religious belief, sin and its sorrowful slaughter of the soul's fullness are still undoubtedly real, whether you recognize it or not, as is shown with the plainest explanation to what a sin is. It is to harm a soul. It doesn't take one believing in a religion or not to recognize it as possible to harm the soul. Through a religious lens, though, it turns God's law into one easy to understand command. Do not cause harm to come to the soul. Do not neglect the most important thing which I have given you. The soul is the full completion of the personhood, and it bears the truth of a person, their true desires, their true self, and their true mind. Every soul is perfect, but the body's imperfection obscures the true completion of the soul, and it clouds the mind from its true self to follow its imperfect desires, which lead to harming the soul in sin. We must struggle against the sinful desire and temptation of the body to find our true self, and then we must fight the impossible battle against the body's false will to complete ourselves. Though we are far too flawed beings to be able to totally win and become the perfectly complete versions of ourselves that we must. We are doomed to live by both the true and false will as long as we are imperfect, as we, being imperfect, can't ever have the power to even fully find the true self, let alone achieve fully living by it. The only way we can fully become our completion is if a higher perfect being helps save us from the evil false will and incinerates it from our minds. Every soul suffers from sin, whether the sin is realized or not. Even if it is realized, it doesn't mean it stops. Every good man has his vice that he knows he struggles with. I, I myself struggle a lot with the sin of sloth. If you couldn't tell by my upload schedule, weekly uploads are going very well, but it's important that we recognize these sins and recognize them as such, and keep struggling against them and try to defeat them instead of letting go and letting them consume us and start denying that they are even problems. We must live by the true and good will as much as we can, and live by the false and evil one as little as possible. Those that live lives mostly by the false will live hollow and empty lives that only serve to harm their true selves. They live lives where the false and malevolent will drowns out the cries of pain from their own pitiful souls, making them live in pure torture for it. Yet still, the loving and good soul still guides them away from being completely ruled by the evil will and being turned into a demon. But they are ruled by a false, sinful will. Sin is self-harm. We are all sinners, but those that live by the sinful will, the harmful will, the shallow will, one without the physical body they are overly attached to use for shallow corrupt desires, then their spirits enter into a catatonic state where the soul is near death from all the harm they have caused to come to it, and from being disconnected from all the vain things they lived their lives being overly indulged in and overly attached to, such that now, without, they turn completely incapable of functioning. This is also what is commonly called hell, a self-induced, torturous state. This is the destiny of those who neglect their soul, doomed to damnation and cast to it by only their own spirit. They become both their own judge and prison god, because of their own pick of living by the bad will, even in the places where the good will's voice is the clearest, taking shallow fun over a deeper meaning and actualizing the true self. It's the sad tragedy of deception corrupting the spirit and turning it unclean, making it follow lesser sinful desires that only harm its true self and which ultimately doom it to be tortured by the worst pain imaginable, extreme emptiness and withdrawal from finally being cut off from the vanity they are completely consumed by the addiction to. A tragic fate I fear most people from the current era is heading towards, with the only positive side being that the false will also gets entrapped in a less corrupted world, so it is also more limited in further destruction in it. The easiest road to fall down that leads to complete nothingness. After living a top-heavy life, letting the physical world and the infected parts within it be the focal point of one's existence, such that when the physical body is lost, the starving soul is also close to being lost in a metaphysical death. And if it is so bad it happens, it is nothingness, and the person has gone beyond hell, all the way to void in nothingness. How much you have to be left by the evil will for this to be your afterlife is an impossible to answer question. Is my fear of most modern people being headed for it unfounded? Or am I right in only people better than the average person, like me, cause I'm just better, who aren't headed there? Or is it even more in only the greatest of people, like Mount Athos monks, who aren't, or are even they headed there? We are all sinners. All of our spirits are infected by the corrupted evil false will that just wants to pain and destroy the true good will. But we must still try to reject it and follow our true selves. We must point it out and ridicule it and try to oust it wherever possible. For not only the benefit of our own spirit and soul, but also for the benefit of others and for the benefit of the world as a whole. We must follow our true order and go along the path of goodness, the righteous path of the soul, the one of the uncorrupted and pure. We must follow the order we are meant to be in and find our place in the world and live in it instead of living by whatever sounds most pleasurable on golden roads of destruction heading towards nothingness. Nothingness is evil. Everything is good. The corruption of nothingness shouldn't be embraced.
Chevalier modestes quadits, quam als saclamur, resturs et es humana vits, qui divum faestet
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promises, please. Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promises, please. Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear our masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promises,